You're listening to Radio Northern Beaches 88.7 FM or 90.3 FM and streaming around the world live from rnb.org.au. I'm Judy Elias and I hope you're going to join us every Friday at 11 o'clock for SNAPSHOT, which focuses on the interests of seniors. First up, we have Georgie Lewin from Grandaids with her segment Platinum Space, focusing on helping seniors with their technical issues. Let's welcome Georgie after this familiar musical snippet from Pink Panther. Welcome, Georgie.
Thank you, Judy.
Look, just before we start, I've got a few questions I'm sure our listeners would like to know. Firstly, what is the Platinum Space?
Well, the Platinum Space is a name that we've given this segment.
Yep.
We're going to be looking at, as you mentioned, different sort of topics and themes in the world of technology through the lens of the older generation,
Fabulous.
who we like to call our sort of Platinum generation.
That's an excellent name, really. It does describe it just particularly well, yeah. And also, the next question is, what is Grandaids?
So Grandaids is a personal face-to-face service designed to assist today's older generation or Platinum generation with navigating individual technological hurdles. We're basically there to sort of set them up to give them the confidence and skills to be connected in this very digital and online age and just demystify everything digital.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of listeners out there, Georgie, that really, really would love your service, and it's great that you have got this segment because, and I think what we'll do is, as you've suggested too, we'll plan it for the beginning of the show every Friday so that our listeners know exactly when to tune in, if that's okay with you, Georgie.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, I think it's worthwhile putting out there some breaking down the challenging sort of world and also educating about, as we're going to talk to Scam Watch and what's going on out there.
Oh, okay.
So, but one thing I'll just mention up front, Grandaids is a partner of the Australian Government's Be Connected network, which is aiming to, get everyone online and savvy with technology. And coming up in October, we've got some free sessions that we'll be conducting at the Avalon Community Library on Tuesday the 16th of October and Thursday the 18th of October.
Oh, that's fabulous. And is it all day or?
Yeah, so the sessions will be running all day and it's best to book in through the library or through contacting Grandaids. And that way people who have got questions big and small can come with their devices and we can work through their individual questions.
Okay. And you'll be the Grandaids will have a stand on their own, or are there several stands at this in the library, or how does that work?
It will just be a Grandaids, what we're calling a technology kiosk.
Oh, so, fabulous!
Yeah,
so you can have they can all just come there for personal advice. Yeah,
so it's just about signing up. So you've got an allocated time and it's a 50-minute slots where we can work through whatever issues they may be having.
Oh, sounds great. Yeah. Okay, so let's move forward. I believe we're going to talk today about the cloud. What is the cloud?
And it is raining outside.
I know. I was going to say, quite an apt today to talk about this.
It is, yeah.
We're going to have a chat about the cloud, and I guess the first thing that everyone should understand is that the cloud is not a physical thing. It's basically like a virtual locker where you can remotely stash your files and pictures and videos and essentially your what's known as data on the internet. So it's basically a term that, much like a cloud itself, with all its little molecules of water that from a distance looks like one object, the cloud is actually a whole range of servers all over the world that hold your personal data, and it appears as one thing being the computing cloud.
So it's just a bunch of computers.
It's just a bunch of computers, yeah.
Is it a bunch of computers just in that one space, or are they everywhere in the world?
Yeah, they're everywhere, all over the world, and different servers operate for different reasons. So some servers will operate purely for storage, and others will be for running applications like Instagram. And so there's a whole range of different servers for different reasons. And there's lots of backups as well. So in the instance that one server gets hit by an asteroid, there's other servers that have got backups of all the information.
I see.
So specialist bunches of servers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And so the question is, I don't know if we've sort of covered it, but why do we use it?
So since computers have originated, we've always used sort of physical storage like hard drives, CDs, the old floppy disk, and more recently USBs to store our data and files. But now we have the cloud as a really good option for us to store our data. So what it means for individuals is that we don't need to have tons of storage and drawers full of CDs and floppy disks holding our pictures and videos and files. We can actually store them on the cloud, which can be accessed anywhere at any time via the internet.
Okay. And so when do we encounter it? When do we encounter the cloud? Do we have to use the cloud? Or when do we?
So, the chances are that everyone is sort of using it, perhaps without necessarily knowing they're using it. So if you've ever got a new phone and had all your contacts restore automatically, that's thanks to cloud storage. So things from Gmail, which is associated with Google Drive or iCloud, anytime you store information without using your phone or computer's internal memory, you're storing information on the cloud.
Hotmail and OneDrive, even Dropbox.
That's right. Yeah, Dropbox is a very well-known storage cloud service.
Yeah. And I suppose iCloud, because it's got cloud in it, I would imagine it's iCloud.
That's right.
An Apple one, I imagine that is. Yeah,
that's right. Another, a great use of the cloud is to store those, special photos and perhaps an old wedding video, things like that you don't want to leave lying around the house, or you might like to share with family internationally. And what it means is that you no longer need to go to the post and send a VHS or a floppy disk across the world. You can actually just send a link to the video and storage, your files that are on the cloud storage.
So that's what you do. You don't actually send. So you send a link to your friend via the cloud, yeah.
Yes.
And then how do they see? Where do they get that link from? Does it come by email or?
So you'll send it via email and different, So what we're talking about in this instance is something like a Dropbox cloud storage facility where you'll pop on some special photos into a folder, and then what you can do is send a link to that particular folder to your friends and family that you might like to share those photos with. Perhaps over in London they're able to download those photos and then print them off, and they've got them there right away.
Okay, so
and it can be done through anything that can send a message, so it can be done through SMS messages on the phone as well as email.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds a great way of heading, so you don't have to store those big. I know that photo files are really large, so it'd be better to have, if you've got a stack of them, if you're even on holidays, I'd imagine that'd be a great use to put them on a cloud server.
Yes.
Rather than on your phone or.
Well, so often you see stories on TV and the media where somebody's lost all of their possessions because of fire or flooding or something. So it provides a means to actually have some backup to those precious memories too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And as you were mentioning, Judy, it's great for freeing up storage on your device. So, you're not slowed down by having 1,000 photos, or because they sort of add up, don't they? When you walking around or taking photos of your family, and you just end up having heaps of photos in your phone. So it's a good alternative.
Yeah, that's right. But can I ask one question though? How safe is it? Like, I know a lot of people have said to me, security now is a big problem. And I keep saying, well, things are improving in security all the time, I guess, but you'd probably know better than any of us, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's anything in the tech world, there are vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And the thing to be very, vigilant about is just staying on top of, like you mentioned, security services, and being vigilant about identifying scams and potential avenues in which people can access your computer and therefore access, your cloud potentially. But it is a relatively safe place. Very reputable companies, your Googles, your iClouds, Apple are running these cloud services, and the data is encrypted, so it only enables authorised access. But the thing to really, that's in people's control, and that what people can do to stay on top of that is to be very vigilant with their security. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all relative, isn't it, really? I mean, you could have your photos and things lying around the house, and as you mentioned, Simon, there might be a rainy day like this and they all sort of get washed away. But I mean, it's an alternative now that is a strong alternative, as long as you're vigilant about it.
But Georgie, I think it's an industry standard, definitely, in so far as businesses go. There'd be no way, I'd imagine, that businesses and offices would be able to have their own backups internally anymore, or on PCs or their own hard drives. Am I right by thinking that?
You are, yes, and that's been a big reason for the cloud to come to fruition, for businesses to be able to store. Now everything's become so much more online, and one of the things actually that pushed the cloud to come, and become more sort of commercial quite quickly was online shopping, as a lot of companies were going online, a lot of retail. So what it enables for businesses is that they can scale their requirements of storage as they need it. So that it's quite a great benefit for them.
They often have their own personal clouds, actually, especially government departments.
That's right, yeah.
So they won't necessarily have, upload their data to Microsoft or Apple, but they'll actually have their own set of servers in order to manage their data, and they have still backup solutions as well. That's the other thing. Cloud is not really the same as backup. I mean, I have cloud services that I use for data, but I still have separate backup as well, because even if I change a document in the cloud and I make a mistake, I may not necessarily be able to get back the original, so I like to have a second copy.
That's a great point, and it's always important to have, ideally, all your information in at least two places. So, and that's where the backup comes into play, and having that hard drive. But
to be sure.
But rather than have the two hard drives, which in 10 years' time could rust and there could be internal issues with the hard drive,
could blow up.
It's a good option to have the cloud as one of those storage platforms, and then a hard drive as a backup.
Oh, for sure.
And what you were referring to as well is there are private clouds and public clouds, and what we're talking about are the public clouds. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. And
clouds within clouds.
Clouds within clouds. Yeah. So, is there anything else further that the listeners should know about as far as this segment goes today?
I think I would. That's a bit of a explainer overview, really, for the cloud, and what we were going to come to. I thought, as a part of our segment each week, we could do a bit of a scam watch.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And as I just mentioned, you know, scams, I'm sure we all know someone who has been caught by a digital scam. They're everywhere. So by telling people what to look out for on their emails and phones, we can keep our listeners a step ahead.
Oh, so you mean we'll run a Scam Watch session at the end of every segment that you do on Friday?
Yeah, that's right. So,
okay.
Sorry, just a quick question.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Grandaids, that's all one word.
That's right, yeah.
And how do you access it? Through the internet?
Yeah, so we've got a website, which is www.grandaids.com.au, and our contact details and things are on there. And as I mentioned earlier, the way that we work is by doing personal one-on-one in-home sessions with people, so they can ask their individual niggly questions, big and small, that are specific to their devices. So, and one of those things we look at and help educate people about is scams, because it is something very front of mind, given how tricky the scam artists are becoming, and how important it is to be on top of it. So,
So Georgie, what's the scam for today?
Right, the scam for today. So what we're going to talk about this week is celebrity endorsement scams. Now, people are becoming increasingly caught out by these scams. There's been a 400% increase in Australia this year of these types of scams reported to ScamWatch, which I'll come back to. It's a government platform set up by the ACCC. So what these scams are, as the name entails, they appear as sort of online ads in Google banners and in your sort of Facebook feeds that have got celebrity endorsement, supposedly, but they're doctored images where they're pushing products such as like skincare creams or weight loss pills or investment schemes, and people over 45 have accounted for over 60% of the people who have been caught out by these scams, which is why it's particularly relevant to the Snapshot show. So now what is happening is that the scams, they're asking consumers to sign up for a free trial, and as a part of that, they're asking for credit card details. And so this is where you need to be particularly aware and sceptical about these ads. Never give credit card details, but also just have a look and see whether, you know, what you're seeing, if you're seeing people like the hosts of the Shark Tank television show, or some other examples, Kate Blanchett, Delta Goodrem, Georgie Gardner from the Today Show. They've all been part of these doctored ads, which are appearing to be legitimate. So there's a full list of the people who have been doctored into these fake ads on the ScamWatch website. But they are tricky, because you do look and at a first glance they look legitimate, but they're definitely a lot of the time they're created, and they're all about trying to get your sensitive information, including your credit card details. So then we go to, you know, what happens if you do accidentally click on one of these scams.
Yeah, what does happen? Yeah.
So the first thing you need to do is to get in touch with your bank immediately if you've realised that you've given your credit card details out to an illegitimate website, and see whether you can get a charge back and just stop any further debits coming out. And what I would suggest as well is signing up to the ScamWatch radar alerts.
Oh yes. Well, how do you do that?
So on the government website, it's www.scamwatch.gov.au.
Yep.
And on there, you just follow the prompts going to the area where you can sign up for those alerts, so you can stay across what's happening.
So how do they give you the alerts, through email?
Through email, yeah, okay. That's right. And you can also, if you're on Twitter, you can follow them on Twitter. But the email alerts is a good one. Yeah. And in regards to this specific scam, there's also on their website you can see an image of what one of these ads looks like, to stay aware.
Oh, okay. All right. And
so be wary of celebrities.
Beware of celebrities, that's right.
Yes, various celebrities. The ones that have got absolutely no flaw in their face and no wrinkles, and so they might be photoshopped, and that's probably what you're saying. A number of the products that can do that for you could be scams.
Yeah, and sometimes they're odd alignments. So you might have Kyle Sandilands, pushing a skincare cream or something like that, because they've just they've just cut a celebrity just to try to give it validation and put it out there. So
okay. Well, I think you've covered so much, and I'm really really grateful for this segment. And our listeners should really take the advice of Georgie and maybe really go to that session that you're talking about. Do you want to just mention when it is again at the library?
Yeah, sure. So what we're doing is Grandaids Tech Kiosks at Avalon Community Library for Get Online Week. They'll be running on Tuesday the 16th of October and Thursday the 18th of October. They'll be running all day, but you'll just need to sign up so we can allocate a spot for you, and you can do that either via the library itself, or you can get in touch with Grandaids and we can book you in.
Okay. Well, thank you very much once again, Georgie. And I'll look forward to the same time next Friday.
Yep, next Friday.
Okay. And to our listeners, yes, all look forward to what you have to say. And I'll be interested to hear what the next session will be, but maybe... Do you know what it's going to be, or shall we tell our listeners, or shall we keep it as a surprise?
Let's keep it as a surprise.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, thank you. So...